Welcome back to Boys and Ghouls Film Review, folks. I'm your host, Sarah Stephenson, and it's my co-host, Mike Stephenson.
Hi, guys.
And tonight we'll be reviewing a movie called The Cabin in the Woods, which was released in 2011, I think it was.
12, actually, I think.
12 or 11th. I wasn't sure.
I think it could have been on the cusp. How's that?
Anyway, this one's a good one. I often thought of it as a homage to all horror movies and slashes
I
and
think
all
so too.
other ones
Yeah,
in general.
parody, homage, whatever, yeah.
Because there's a lot of things that you may see in it. In this one, there's mentions deadites, which you may be called back to Hellraiser.
Hellraiser, yeah.
And there's zombies, and there's a redneck zombie family, whatever, doesn't really matter.
Actually, there was some... I read somewhere, I haven't got it in front of me, I think there was some sort of computer game series type stuff where some of these creatures came out of too. That's why we haven't seen them.
True.
Yeah. So, yeah. Yes.
So, this is kind of... it's not... Apart from CGI stuff, there's a lot of there's going to be a lot of special effects, makeup, masks, and stuff like that. Yeah, exactly. So, made by the special couple in question. Well, it's made by a big group of special effects people. But two of the people who were working on this project were the lady who played Nancy in Nightmare on Elm Street and her hubby.
Yeah. Okay.
As I said.
Oh, okay.
So they worked on some of the special effects, masks and stuff.
Now, going on from that, the special effects, monster costumes, special makeup, and prosthetic makeup for the film were all done by AFX Studio. So she could be part of that.
Yes.
Maybe. I don't know. Yeah.
Yes. So they kind of... so this has a lot of costumes and masks in this and all that stuff.
Yeah, all good stuff. A lot of good stuff. Actually, it's...
And it has all the Easter eggs, obviously.
Oh, yeah, you're trying to sort of... Oh, I know, yeah, I remember that creature. Yeah, he was in so-and-so movie. Yeah, that sort of stuff, yeah. Yeah, and a few things like... It's really good. It's what do you call it? A bit of a parody of a lot of them just thrown together, or...
I would definitely see.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a parody of many worlds. I mean, that's where I like to think where most of these creatures came from. Different dimensions, different realms, different realities.
Different movies, different studios. Yeah.
Well, you know what I mean. Like I like to think that's where the creatures came from.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Like different...
And don't forget the old gods.
Yes, so anyway, Mike, tell them about the director, writer, and the stars.
This is the part I love the best.
I thought it's the box office.
Wait a minute.
Money Hughes likes the best.
Produced by Josh Whedon. Directed by Drew Goddard. And it was his first one, his first directorial debut. And it was written by Josh and Drew.
Yeah, Josh, you may know, he's the guy who written and directed Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the movie and TV series.
Yeah. So they've had a bit, Josh, but he was, a good producer. Did well for those, and look, it shows up here, a good producer, good director. Yeah, I reckon it's a good screenplay.
I agree, it was.
But anyway, budget, 30 mil. Box office about 66. Now that's box office. Now, home media, it's still selling. So who knows how much it's actually made all up. So
I mean, it's a good watch.
But I'll get on to the later on the response from the critics, and you'll be quite surprised. Even the weird critics I don't like thought it was good. So there you go.
There's something new.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. Cast. I just get the main ones here.
Yeah.
Kristen Connolly plays Dana Polk. She's a college student. And now, there's 5 roles they play in these sort of things. You know how you get, they drop them off, and you got the dumb blonde, you got the stud, you got the intelligent guy. Well,
stereotypes.
Yeah, stereotypes. Okay, well, she plays the virgin type, even though it's not quite a virgin.
Yeah.
Chris Hemsworth, he plays the athlete. He plays, Kurt Vaughan. There you go. Anna Hutchinson plays Jules Luden. That's Dana's girlfriend. No, Kurt's girlfriend.
Yeah.
And she plays the whore because he's a player. A bit,
so she says.
Very frisky. Now, Fran Kranz, I think it's a weird name. Plays Marty. Mick Mikulski, a college student designated as a fool. He's a stoner, and he's really funny. I mean, I love him.
He reminds me of Shaggy in Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, Shaggy in Scooby-Doo. But the funny part is, he might be designated as the fool, and he's stoned all the time, but he becomes almost like the final girl. He's really, really good.
And knowledgeable, even though he comes up with conspiracy theories, which most of us online have been either absorbed in it or we just
he
have
plays
our
a
own theories
really,
about
really
it.
good role. So anyway, Jesse Williams plays Holden McRae. That's Kurt's football teammate, designated as the scholar. Now, it's quite funny, some of these roles that the computers made up for them were a bit wrong, weren't they?
Yeah, well, they were casting them or doing a stereotype, and the drugs that were in the system indicate that they were trying to make them look more like the characters
to suit them,
the characters you may have seen in actual horror movies, where you have the athlete, the total jerkwad in the piece, and we have the mean but foolish blonde girl, or
the
whatever.
The
player.
The weird one.
You have the scholar who's very knowledgeable, stuff like that. And you have the stoner who either drinks too much or drugs too much.
Or just a total idiot.
And we have the virgin who's more of a prude, or sometimes a prude.
No, conservative, not a prude. Now, here we go. Now, I haven't mentioned anybody else outside the house itself apart from one person. Mm-hmm. Sigourney Weaver plays an untitled director of this facility who's controlling the house these people are in. So she sort of, you would call it a cameo almost?
Yeah, I would say so.
On screen about a minute
and
and a half,
according to her, she was thrilled to take part in this project.
Yeah, something a bit different,
Because she really enjoyed working with in the scene with the werewolf scene. I think that's one of the things she liked most about that scene. Even though, did she ever get top billing when she was assigned this production?
Probably not.
I mean, not top billing. I mean, what's the word? Given a lot of money for it.
I don't know. It doesn't go into... The sites don't necessarily go into how much each person got paid.
Sometimes whenever they get an old actor, especially a well-known one, they want top money for it. Sometimes.
We did a movie recently where some guy, a good known actor, went into a movie, but he said, I don't want to be in the top credits, I want to be down the bottom. Because he wanted the younger actors to get more accreditation.
That's a nice thing for him to do.
I think we reviewed it a couple of months ago. A well-known actor, he said, no, don't put me up the top there. I'm well-known, but it's all about the other actors.
Nice.
So she might have done the same sort of thing. She just didn't need the money.
Well, actually, her name was... first, in the credits, her name showed up first. Sigourney Weaver plays the director or the founder.
A bit of a draw card, maybe, but it shouldn't be done that way. I mean, she didn't have a major part in it. She just had about 1 minute, 1.5 minutes right at the end saying, you got to die, rah, and that was it, and she got killed. There you go.
That's true. But anyway, do you want me to get into the story? Since we've already
I can't think of anything else. Otherwise, we'll start telling the story anyway.
Okay, spoilers alert. There's gonna be a lot of them. So here the story goes. We get to the credits. We see a lot of blood and a lot of symbols of sacrifices through the ages. Then we cut to a business building of sorts, which we think. Okay, we're in a business building. What's wrong with this production all of a sudden? Aren't we supposed to be in a forest or a woods where all this happens? But as it turns out, we follow these two men named Gary and Steve.
Two normal white-collar workers having a chat about
They're discussing their plans for the weekend and planning... trying to do this thing that they discuss it like a business proposition or thingy-wing, and they think if they don't complete this, they're screwed by no less. And
one way or another.
they host their colleague is a girl named Wendy and a security guard named Daniel, I think he was.
I think so, yeah.
Yes. Anyway, we cross to the title card. A very bright words that say. The cabin in the woods. Then we cross over to a college little environment with Dana, who is going to spend quality time with Kurt, her friend Julie, and her friend Marty, who are going away to a cabin in the woods, who Kurt says is from his cousin, I think it was, is allowing him
Kurt's
to stay.
cousin's cabin.
Yes.
We start to wonder whether Kurt really had a cousin or someone just gave him the keys to the cabin or something.
Or he got a call from his next of kin telling him, guess what, we have a cabin that's vacant. Would you like to go there for the weekend?
He could have been set up. We don't
agree.
know. Yeah.
And so anyway, so she wants to get over this affair she had with her teacher, a professor, and he dumped her, obviously, and I still don't think she was a virgin technically when I think about this sort of thing.
No, the point is she wasn't a virgin. Now, it came out at the end, but she's a virgin type.
Yes. Anyway, so her friends, she starts packing her stuff. Of course, Kurt, he's not a total moron athlete like most people. He turns out to be a very knowledgeable athlete. Like, he even advises Dana what kind of books to bring with her, or not to bring with her, because he's a very knowledgeable kind of guy.
He's a smart guy, yeah.
Yeah, so he's quite the opposite to the stereotypes of an athlete.
I'm a knucklehead. I got a sports scholarship.
A gorilla-type moron, if you will. And anyway, so Holden's downstairs. He catches a ball downstairs, and they meet Marty, who carries his bong that kind of resembles a coffee mug.
Huge coffee cup that you use when you're travelling. You have a lid on it. Yeah. Folds up into a coffee cup, and no one's going to know any difference. But it looks like a telescope when he's using it. Oh, gee, it's a good-looking bong. I'll tell you right now, it's really good.
Yeah. Anyway, he plans to get off I think he wants to get away from the internet and stuff, and that's why he's coming along, to get away from human comforts and stuff, like the cell phone or the internet. Yeah. I can't blame him. I mean, I can't stand the fact that sometimes there are times I want to go sit in the backyard and read a book for an hour or two. That's my idea of reconnecting.
Yeah, I sit in front of my computer a lot.
Yeah, I'm trying to get away from it. Anyway, the kids load into Kurt's van and they drive off, and there we see a man perched on Dana's house roof who says the nest is empty. Sort of like spy talk.
Yeah. The nest is empty. The birds have flown the coop. That sort of crap.
Yeah, this guy works for these two other men.
These guys who we saw in the office earlier on.
Yeah. Anyway, the kids they're heading down to the woods. They then go to a gas station where they meet the gas attendant, who's like a homage of doom, if you will.
Yeah, a bit like in Halloween.
Yes.
Like that weird guy on the bicycle.
That's Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th, yeah, sorry. Friday the 13th.
You're all going to die
today. You'll all be doomed. Yeah, that guy, yeah. You're all going to die up there. Yeah. He's one of those sort of guys. It's a bit of comedy relief.
He was very insensitive to Julie, saying she's a whore and stuff. That was not, but even though...
she looked good.
Oh, yeah. So he's sort of like... plays a bit of a part there, trying to creep them out.
He happens to be on the payroll of the weird guys in the office.
Yes. Anyway, he spits at their feet and tells them to get lost and stuff like that.
He's not a very nice guy.
Anyway, Marty just thinks that he tries to step in. I think most of the time he steps out of line a couple of times, tries to defend his friends so often.
He does. He's not a total weirdo stoner. He's just
he's not a drooling one.
A lot.
Yeah. So anyway, they get back into the car and they head to the cabin, which is pretty much like Evil Dead's cabin, if you will. A little bit, only a little bit more functioning.
It had more goodies in it, nicer, and electricity.
Yeah,
and wiring for CCTV.
And a magic mirror.
Not a magic mirror, a two-way mirror. Yeah.
Where it was firstly covered by a painting, which had a very gross picture, but indicates is an Easter egg because it showed
Shape of things to come. How's that?
it showed disemboweled a dead body being cut up.
Yeah, sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Different things.
And
So the guy takes down and he sees the mirror behind it, and the girl Dana is getting changed in the next room, and you can see her through the mirror.
Makes you wonder whether or not the previous people who put that mirror in there probably used it as a way of keeping tabs on the kids in the next room to see what they do. Of course,
a bit rude, isn't it?
Maybe it's there's no explanation for it. Anyway,
there's no explanation at all for it, but it's really good.
Yeah. Anyway,
really good.
We then cross over back to the guys I mentioned earlier, the guys in the business thing. As it turns out, the cabin is not really a cabin, and it's actually located in a special what do you call it? Force field environment.
Well, there's a force field around the area.
Yes.
They don't know it's there. They were allowed to drive through a tunnel to get there, but the rest of it's a force field. So once they're in, there ain't no getting out.
Yeah, I keep wondering if I think the entire place is not what it seems like.
Well, it's not, because underneath the cabin is this big complex where all these administrative people are, and the rest of the stuff we're going to learn about very shortly.
Yeah, so the whole place is like one major big film set.
It's a bit like the high in Evil. Was it Evil Dead? Was it? Yeah, it had the hive underground.
Oh, you mean Resident Evil?
Resident Evil. Yeah, Resident Evil had the hive underground. Same sort of deal. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, they keep tabs on their, their blood and their heartbeats. You're sort of like
somehow rather they're doing remote sensing of their vital signs.
Yeah.
While they're pumping gas and different things into the area to affect their sexuality and their judgment and different things.
Yeah.
To coerce them into doing things they probably wouldn't normally do. That's it.
Yeah. So anyway, they kind of behind the scenes they kind of organise a bit of a betting booth, where they bet on who the occupants will vote on, who gets the unlikely monster to attack.
Yeah, what
them.
monster's going to kill this person or something?
Yeah.
The first person had to be the dumb blonde or the whore, and who's going to take the whore out? Start taking bets on
that's not it, Mike. It's about which creature they're going to be voted up.
She was going to go first, and what creature was going to take her out.
That's not it either, Mike. I was saying which creature they're going to pick. I mean, No, you were saying what order the creatures kill the order, and of course doesn't come into it, Mike. This is sort of when they go to the basement, which is much later on, where they were doing a truth or dare thing, and in this one they start acting weirder and weirder, like they're getting drunk and serious. Soon enough, the basement door opens up like Evil Dead, and there in the basement is a lot of stuff. Of course, Dana is dared to go down there, and of course the other kids do eventually go down there too. And there we see lots of stuff, which is a lot of Easter egg thingy wings that all the time they're looking around. There's some interesting stuff. There's even an interesting orb or sphere, I think it was. And there was an interesting necklace on a bridal gown, and let me see, there was some film reels. I don't know what from, but then Dana was able to. She actually sees a diary, and which is written in Latin, which had a poem written in Latin, I think. Isn't that right, Mike?
There was some Latin. I don't know whether it was a poem or an incantation, or they're trying to read it.
Yeah, anyway, she calls the others over, and then we hear, or Marty hears, a voice in the air saying, "Read it out loud." And he's the only one who hears this. He keeps trying to dare them back up there, but they somehow, I guess they're programmed not to listen to him because
they're smelling the drugs and he's not being affected by it, because you've got the cannabis, the CBD, or whatever it is, the THC, whatever the chemical is blocking the effects of what these other guys are doing. They're trying to manipulate the people. He's not being manipulated.
Yeah.
He's the only normal one. Pardon the pun. He's the only normal one in the group.
Yeah, anyway, so they recite... Dana recites the Latin words, and then we see coming out of the grounds, somewhere,
zombies, was it?
the hillbilly redneck zombie family, whatever.
Yeah, lovely.
And then back at the workstation, they have a bit of a CCTV thingy set up where a lot of mini cameras are watching everyone's movements, and pretty much they all say, okay, the votes are in. The redneck zombie family are the likely candidates
And
because
they won. Yeah.
because Dana picked up an item,
Summoned
and
them.
therefore that allowed them to because there's some other items on a whiteboard that show there's a unicorn, there is trolls, there are the deadites I mentioned, there is the bride, and let me see, there's twins,
Sugar Plum
Fairy, which we find out later, and let me see, we see the dolls, and let me see, there's some other ones there that I can't. I mean, there's also zombies and other creatures and werewolves and all this stuff.
All the good things you like.
Yeah. Anyway, so he was Gary, who I think was Gary. I think he was upset that he didn't get to see them conjure up the merman.
He never gets up. He never gets a chance.
But the only way you can probably use the mermaid is if, no doubt, they went for a swim in the river, like a late night swim or something.
Let's go skinny dipping.
Too bad they couldn't use Jaws. Oh well, you can't really. Yeah. Just so you guys know that these guys are not the only ones doing this thing.
It's been done in different cities around the world.
Yeah, I think there was one in Moscow, one in Kyoto, I think it was, where it deals with a ring-type monster, from The Ring.
Yeah, and these little schoolgirls being tormented by it. But anyway, irrespective, there's several other places around the world doing the same ritual. Yeah. One of the rituals have to work, and the other ones are not working. Yeah,
the whole point of this ritual, it has things to do with youth and punishing that said youth group.
Well, sort of that. They're picking on youth, but the point is that they are sacrificing the youth to the older gods who are happy to stay deep in the bowels of the earth as long as they get it's right done every year or so, whenever it is, to sacrifice these young people as a way to placate them. That's a very good word, placate.
Anyway, this environment makes me think of The Truman Show, where they have all these cameras all over the woods and all over the cabin, and they're kind of watching them and trying to emulate and programming them like they were characters in a movie.
Exactly.
So this is where the tribute to the horror thing genre comes into it. Anyway, back to the cabin. They start acting like more and more like characters from the said horror movie. Kurt starts acting very maniacal.
What?
Very gorilla ape-like. Ooh, I'm a very drunk, sexist fool, idiot.
He gets, he becomes a player type.
Yeah, and he even starts making. He even makes fun of Holden, telling him that he's an egghead, when actually Kurt is also in the brain department.
Yeah. But he's being programmed by the chemicals in the air.
So he grabs Julie, and they plan on having the sexy time outside.
Out in the woods.
And while they're
gone to bedroom myself.
Of course, Marty approaches Dana and explains to him that he's seen them drunk, but this is a different type of drunk.
They're not acting like they normally would.
Yeah, they're acting like really different.
Weirder than normal.
He goes off to read a book called Finding Nemo.
He wants. I'm going to go find a book with pictures.
Yes. While Dana and Holden they get down to talking about the book and about what the Latin words mean. Anyway, so you guys know that book particular probably came from the Evil Dead, movie, idea where they read a book and they start and then.
Yeah, it rings a bell. Yeah.
Anyway, so we're back to the woods. Kurt and Julie, they're out in the woods. They're
getting ready to get with it.
Of course, many times they think maybe we should go back to the cabin, but then Gary and the what's his name? Oh yeah, Steve. They pump the ground with drugs and try to get them really ready to do it. So they just so you guys know, there's like thousands of guys watching the whole scene of them getting down.
Yeah, because you got to go out nice looking blonde and take all the clothes off in front of the CCTV.
Of course.
You can have every man, his dog, car, park attendant, and your delicatessen man. And
Yeah, as they were getting it down, I guess they even pumped up the temperatures to make them hot. Ooh, it's so hot in here.
Yeah.
It's getting hot in here.
I gotta
Take my clothes off. Sort of thing. So as they're getting down to it, they're about to. So as we're getting to the nitty gritty, the zombies appear and start attacking them. Of course, they kill Julie first.
Yes, because.
And because the process is that the whore
has to go first.
Anyway, Kurt eventually escapes, and he runs into Marty, who was coaxed by the voices in the atmosphere telling him, "Go outside." Yeah, of course. He keeps saying, "Who's saying that?" I could keep hearing that because he kind of hears.
Yeah, he's hearing it. He's not hearing it subliminal.
Yeah.
You know the word I mean, subliminally.
Yeah, subliminal messaging. Yeah. Like Mike, we discussed it a while back where
a long time ago they used to use subliminal advertising in theatres. They used to put a couple of panels of candy bar advertisements into the movie.
Uh-huh.
So what would happen is you start watching the first reel or two, they start putting Coke symbols and popcorn and stuff, and people pop outside the candy bar and get something to eat and drink. And they outlawed that after a while because it wasn't fair on the patrons because they were advertising to them that they didn't have a chance to say no. Mm-hmm. It was hitting the subconscious mind, not the conscious mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so
same sort of thing.
Yeah, same sort of thing, except with not pictures. It's more just. Well,
I think it is the combination of the chemicals in the air and those little whispers like this going on in the background, and they're receiving those messages.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. Kurt runs into Marty and they quickly head inside the cabin. Of course, all the while, Julie keeps wondering whether... Dana tries to reopens the door to try to get out and see where Julie is.
And guess what?
Although Kurt was the one who says that Dana was killed by the said creatures and all that stuff.
Dana didn't believe them. She opened the door.
I think it was mostly more computer programming from the drugs in the air.
Yeah,
probably.
well, of course.
Making them do stupid things.
Open the door.
Like some people you often say it, you guys, why do people in horror movies do stupid things?
Well, look, how many sci-fi horror movies see... Oh, there's a creepy guy going outside, running around there on a telephone, and the girl runs outside at night to have a look. Gee, I would actually lock the door instead of going outside. Yeah. I wouldn't be wearing my nightie. I'd have my flight clothes on, ready, and an overnight bag. I'd be gone. You know?
One girl told me at a film shoot, she was telling me this interesting story. She was watching I think it was a horror TV series outside... on the patio. It was sort of a enclosed,
room.
Back patio.
Indoor-outdoor room.
Yeah, and I guess she said that it's while some people would think you must be crazy to watch a horror movie in that part of the area. So but I think she felt she didn't feel scared or anything like that. Although it adds to the atmosphere. I mean, as I often say, never watch a horror movie all on your own. Anyway.
Well, they're more fun with somebody, aren't they? We watch them together.
Yes. So anyway, so where was I up to? Oh yeah, they are locked inside the cabin, and Kurt makes a brilliant suggestion: we should stick together. But then the guys downstairs they pump in the drugs, telling them we must split up.
Yeah, it's easy to pick them off one by one that way.
Yeah. Anyway, let me see. They end up. Soon enough, the creature enters, and they quickly scatter like the ants they were, and
ants.
Well, and Kurt quickly tries to defend get away the creature, and Kurt and Marty, Dana, and Holden they quickly run into their rooms, and like clockwork, the guys downstairs lock them in.
Oh yes, very good.
Of course, Marty when he's in his room. He actually discovers the hidden cameras, or one of them anyway, and he thinks, I must be on a secret reality show.
And he's standing in the window and he gets straight out the window by a zombie.
Yeah, they were thinking of pumping more drugs in his system to try to make him forget what he's seen, but well, the creature did eventually drag him out, and they think the life-threatening if the gang find out would be, well, there's no point of doing that.
Of course, the picture, the zombies got him. Well, there you go then.
I should mention there's a device inside the office where they sort of, I guess, crush some blood, which indicates each individual being killed.
Yeah, I wonder how that was. It's the blood. Where's the blood coming from? But yeah, they must have little reservoirs.
It does make
or something.
sense. It's like, I guess maybe it's sheep blood, like,
Yeah, you think they get the blood from the deceased?
It's a very weird thing.
Yeah, that part got me a little bit confused. Anyway, I don't know.
Anyway, the room begins to rumble. They think that the things downstairs are excited or something, but that comes later. Marty gets killed off screen, which even...
Well, we think he's killed off screen. That's the whole point.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Dana and Holden, they actually they eventually fight off the creatures and ending up down in the basement in one of the hidden another hidden trap door, I think it was, in one of the rooms.
Marty and Dana go...
No, Marty was it's Dana and Holden.
Dana's right, Dana.
So they're downstairs, and in this part of the area, we see the sort of a room that was, I guess, from the redneck zombie family's room where
this is a black room or something, or they call it.
Yeah, where they killed each other in order to please their god, or please God anyway,
or the old gods or whatever.
Anyway. Eventually one of the creatures tries to kill Holden, and eventually Kurt arrives, and they quickly all scatter to their RV. And as they're driving, they're heading through the woods and heading towards the tunnel, and they then realize that the guys downstairs had the place the tunnel rigged to be blown up. And
it hadn't been blown up yet because of the wiring problem.
Yeah, the guy ran all the way to, I think that was Steve, who ran to the maintenance room, and he Jack tries to fix it up as much as he could. Unfortunately, they do blow up the tunnel, and not a minute too soon or a minute too late, and they eventually...
They don't get out.
Yeah.
Aha.
They then get back to the area, and let me see, Kurt decides that he should jump over the ravine. There's a very big...
He got a motorcycle on the back of the RV. Yeah.
There's a very big steep cliff that will allow them to... is like I don't know how long or how far.
But it's very deep.
It's very deep, and you could easily get killed.
It's a hairpin turn, though, so you think, if I go down the road here at town to come roaring off there and have a quick turn, go straight over the ravine, I'll make it the other side, and I'll bring the police and everybody back and save everybody.
Yeah, that's another thing. I keep thinking, as I said before, when people do stupid things in horror movies, this is probably another one that was probably programmed into his head to do.
Yeah.
And they probably knew right away he will be a goner by the time he ends up halfway. Anyway, by the time he does eventually get halfway, he crashes against the
this force field,
yeah. And his bike and his body begins to glide down to the ravine, down further down, deep down. Then the next symbol that gets blood in it. It kind of forms into a sort of a. I don't know what it is. It's carving on the wall, which all the blood seeps into it.
I think it's a carving on the wall.
Yeah.
And it dribbles in there. So it goes into his figure of it. Yeah. Not the athlete. The
athlete, yes. He's an athlete, and that's his stereotype, whatever.
Yep.
Anyway,
the horse gone, the fool's
Dana starts realizing that there's something going down, and this didn't make sense. Kurt was he was halfway there. Unfortunately, the force field killed him, or got him crashed into it, and then died, obviously.
So when Holden says to Dana, we're going to drive, there must be a road out the other side.
There probably won't be a road. And he thinks, if we cannot find a road, we can drive off the road and into probably the woods, off the track. Even though I imagine by the time they get around the barriers, probably all over that part of the area.
Yeah, they'll never get out. But anyway, irrespective, they don't get that far anyway.
Eventually, one of the redneck zombies appears behind him and kills him.
Stabs in the neck or something, was it?
Yeah, and they collide their RV into the water.
Yeah, so it slides down into a little creek or river or something. Yeah.
And then Dana, who's the only one who's alive, the scholar Holden, he's dead after being killed in the throat, and she quickly swims for her life. And all the time this is happening, the guys, the staff, the members are having a party in their office, saying, "Woo, we're doing so well."
Now, here's the thing: they got 5 people who could die.
Yeah.
Now, this is what I'm trying to say earlier when you told me I was wrong. The blonde player hooker had to be the first one.
Yes.
And they're taking bets on what creature was going to be some. That's what I was trying to say. Now, the point was the other ones could be in any order, but the virginal type had to be the last one, either dead or alive.
Yeah, so...
And that's why they're having parties, because they thought everyone's dead by now.
The virgin is optional, according to them.
That's like a supplementary number in Lotto.
Yeah, it's just like in horror movies where we either get the virgin survives or the... Yeah,
it's final girl type stuff,
And or sometimes the virgin does get killed off in one scene.
Or goes to the nut house.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, so she's swimming to the surface, but then she gets tackled by another of the zombie guys, and she's fighting while the staff are having a party, sort of a little business party of their sorts.
We won, we did it, we survived,
we saved the world. Then ring,
we don't know who's on the phone, but the red phone.
It's a red phone, probably from the members. The boss is upstairs or downstairs, whichever you call it.
We got a problem.
And they say, we have a big problem, and he realized that one of the other people are not dead. Which ones? I'll tell you. It's the fool, Marty. He's alive, as it turns out. And anyway, he saves Dana and he quickly shows her the crypt or the coffin where these guys came from. And when they go into it, it turns out
it's a trapdoor, and it goes into where an elevator shaft is.
Yeah, he shows her the wires he tampered with. I think those wires were what caused the system when they were trying to blow up the tunnel didn't blow up, obviously, and that's probably what caused it. I like to think. Yeah, well, that's why it didn't blew up automatically like they planned.
I don't know.
Anyway, he then explains that someone has sent those creatures up to them, so he knows a little bit of stuff. Like, he seems to have a good set of knowledge, even if he's has been on something. Anyway, they then decide they should head inside the elevator.
No, he said, let's go down. Why go down? Well, you want to stay up here?
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah. They quickly get into it, and as they're heading down or whatever direction, we then see that other creatures,
keep stopping at the little places along the way.
We see a wraith, a ghost.
A wraith.
Yeah, wraith.
That's
what they called it. They didn't call it was ghost or anything like that, or demon. Anyway, we also see the Deadites. Yeah. One of them had some razor blades. Not razor blades.
A big buzzsaw type blades hanging out of his head.
Protruding out of his head. And we see the sphere, the silvery goldy sphere, which makes me think of the ones they were looking at back in the basement before.
Yeah, they had the same sort of thing. Yeah.
They start realizing that these creatures, they each one of them had to pick an item, and that would mean that they would summon them.
Hideous demon or critter or ghost or whatever.
Yeah.
To extract.
Oh yeah, we also see the sugar plum fairy, which has a huge, creepy-looking mouth on her.
Yeah, don't know about it. Don't want to know about it. It's really horrible.
I remember that there was a music box with a fairy, bit of a ballerina in that one, which could have been her, obviously.
Yeah, if they turned the music on or something, it might have summoned her.
Yeah. Anyway, they then realised that they were chosen for a particular purpose, and she gets a little upset, and then we see we kind of zoom out and we see all the different squares of all the different creatures. We see octopuses. We see giant
robot-looking thing.
Yeah, we see giant snakes. We see a blob, I think, in the corner. We see some zombies. We also see the twins that were mentioned. And
the other movie.
I think the twins came from The Shining. I'm not sure. I could be wrong. Anyway, the members downstairs are starting to realize that they're screwed because they need to kill Marty before they kill her. Otherwise,
and
the whole thing.
Before sunrise, wasn't it?
Yeah, because if they don't get them killed before sunrise in the right order, then most likely the ritual won't work, and the humanity will never see another sunrise.
Well, yeah, this will be our last day.
Like Judgment Day or something. Anyway,
pretty much,
so they ordered one of the security guards go down there, shoot Marty and probably Dana afterwards if they can. So he eventually goes down to the elevator and he tells him to step out of the elevator so he could shoot them. Well, it's not in that. Well, no, those words. But then he gets distracted by the half-damaged zombie that Marty killed earlier.
Well, you can't kill a dead thing. Its pieces were still moving around.
Yeah, and he just gets distracted, but then he gets eventually killed, or he gets knocked out, I think. And Marty quickly grabs the gun and gives Dana the trowel that he used. He killed the zombie with. As they're walking around the place, there's some other multiple elevators next to the elevator they just arrived in, and then we hear a voice, Sigourney Weaver's voice, saying that these things are the nightmares from other dimensions, stuff like that. And she says that what they're going to do, they have to do in order to please these unholy gods and stuff like that. So they must do what they have to do in order to survive, all that stuff. We then see some armed security guards approaching them. They quickly dart into another room, and there we see a lot of buttons, and then Dana decides to let loose the rest of those monsters on the faculty. So she says, let's get this party started. She clicks on it, and then soon enough, all the elevator doors start swinging open, and all these creatures come out. Even a sort of evil dead tree comes out of there, which was kind of cool. And all these creatures come out and start attacking.
All the soldiers?
Yeah, and when they tried to send reinforcements, they eventually probably get killed, of course.
Yeah, just all blood and guts all over the floor.
Yeah, it's very disgusting.
The cleaner's going to have a hell of a time cleaning
up.
Yeah,
the rest of the faculty, like other staff members, the technicians, the other people working under the cabin, been selected and killed by these selected monsters. Also, as I said before, the unicorn I mentioned, it's not as friendly as you may think. It does do something really creepy.
If you're a virgin, you're okay. If you're not, watch out. How's that?
Well, it does give a good story behind it, Mike.
Yeah.
So, anyway, the rest of the other people get nicked off by the hacked up by these creatures. They either get eaten, they get killed by the monsters, and there's even a killer robot, I should mention, which is kind of cool. And
what's he out of?
I don't know, maybe killer robots from outer space.
There was a few movies of killer robots going berserk and stuff. Yeah.
Anyway, it's an interesting idea. Anyway, they're running out. They're doomed, and by the sounds of it,
we're doomed.
Yeah. Quickly, I think Dana and Marty try to get away, and there's a mutant bat, I should mention. He flies around, and he kills one of the staff members. He flies into a wall, breaking.
Makes a big hole in the wall, too.
And he eventually flies off, and Dana and Marty, they quickly go into there. Meanwhile, back at the main room where they were doing all these watching them, we see lots of video this time we see CCTV footage of the actual building itself being attacked by these said monsters.
Yeah, really
they tried to arrange the drugs, I guess, trying to drug the creatures, maybe knock them out with whatever.
Too late.
But it's too late. There's no way.
Too little, too late.
Yeah. Suddenly the electricity goes out, and and comes back on. And oh yeah, I should mention this. There were some scarecrow creatures that attacked, I think, Daniel, and he lets off a grenade in his hand and kills them. Or I think we kill them. I'm not sure.
And himself.
And he gets knocked out, and the others get knocked out, and then we see. Gary sees the merman creature.
Which is his favourite one. He's always betting on the merman coming out to kill somebody, and he's going to get killed by the one he kept betting on.
Yeah, he says his friend tells him that the mermaid man is very disgusting and hard to clean or keep clean.
Yeah.
And anyway, this kind of shows that. Oh, I should mention both the merman actor and the werewolf actor, they're one and the same.
Oh, just unzip, just get the other
you get a very dedicated actor doing that. It's
pretty good line.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, we see blood spooking at him like a whale, if you will.
Yeah.
It looks so disgusting. Anyway, Wendy, one of the girls that was working with them, she gets actually attacked by an octopus tentacle.
The tentacle comes up and picks her up and disappears through a roof somewhere.
Yeah, we don't see her again. And then Steve, the remaining one, quickly makes his way inside a trapdoor underneath their thing. There's so many trapdoors in this movie, isn't there, Mike?
Service, for servicing and stuff. He get out. And he's trying to get away to somewhere to try to reboot the system or something. And lo and behold, who does he meet?
He meets Dana, and he gets stabbed by a trowel.
A trowel straight through his chest. And he's probably the only one who could have saved the day.
Yeah, he then tells her, as he's laying dying, it's you. And he says, you must kill him. And then he dies, collapses on the ground. Marty hands Dana the gun, which is a big mistake. They then head further into the complex. We see the altar, or not the altar, the room I mentioned, ritual room, which I told you guys about those symbols. There's a symbol of Kurt's character, the athlete, the Holden's character, the scholar, Julie's one. The player, or the whore, as they call it, and there's Dana's character, the virgin, hasn't got any blood in it. Of course, Marty's one, which is was just the fool. Anyway, they look around and say this is a ritual, and he says that they should have just. He marks you tie someone to a stone, you say a few weird words, and then you slaughter them. It's not that complicated. And she says, no, it's simple. This it's not about sacrificing them, it's about punishing them. Yeah. And he wonders, why do we need to be punished? And then we see the director or founder, Sigourney Weaver's character, whom we don't know her name, who explains that this ritual requires youth and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And of course she explains the whole scenario where
the old gods need to be appeased every year with this ritual.
Yes.
Otherwise they will come up and destroy the world.
Yes. Mm-hmm. She explains how the whore must die first, and the others, like the athlete, the scholar, and the fool,
have to die
next.
And the virgin
was optional. And of course Diana says, me? And she says, the director says, we make do with what is available. Right. Yes. Meaning, in other words, Dana may not be a virgin, but may have virginal qualities.
Wasn't a player either. She was a nice girl.
Yeah. Yes, because, as I said before, she's getting over her ex, the professor I mentioned, and, well, as I said before, these things don't always work out in that way, in that respect. Anyway, she then goes on to say that if they don't complete the ritual, the things in the basement will rise.
And they do.
She mentions the old gods and stuff like that. Giant evil gods, I should say.
Big giant evil gods.
Anyway, she then cooks Daniel to kill the fool, because that's how this works.
That will save the world.
Because if they do not complete the ritual, then the world will never see another sunrise, and the new gods take over.
The old gods.
I mean the old gods. Sorry,
Not the new ones.
Well, to the race of men, they're new.
You want to see new gods? Look at MTV, okay?
Yeah. Okay, anyway, right. So Dana at first wants to shoot Marty, but then he notices behind her a werewolf, and she gets attacked by it, gets bitten. I was telling Mike, here a while, when we're watching it, would this make her, if she lived long enough, would that make her into a werewolf?
Possibly.
That's a good question.
I can't remember whether they have to be bitten under light of a full moon. I can't remember that.
I don't know either. Anyway,
Yeah,
the director starts attacking Marty and plans on killing him. Of course, I should mention one of the redneck zombie creatures eventually arrives at the faculty.
Yeah, see, the young girl whose diary they'll read at the beginning, I think her name was Patience?
Yeah, Patience.
Patience's diary. Well, Patience comes down there wandering around and takes over or gets involved and kills the director.
Yeah, it takes a bit of coordination, but then she gets, I guess, hit in the head with an axe, I think it was. Yeah.
Oh, I can't remember
and
that. Something.
Quickly, both the director and Paige, they get thrown into the thingy wing.
Patience.
Sorry.
I haven't got any patience for you anymore.
Anyway, they're thrown into the pit, but the whole place is shaking, and Dana and they then crawl to the side, and she says, "I'm sorry for trying to shoot you," and he says, "I'm sorry that we are going to be bringing the end of the world," sort of thing. And
they think maybe we shouldn't survive anyway, so they sat down and they shared a joint.
Oh, yeah, and this is where Dana says, "I don't think Kurt has a cousin," which indicates the faculty guys made it up on the spot trying to get them to come here.
But how'd they convince Kurt? We don't know. That's a grey bit.
Grey area. Anyway, so they sit there and they're taking a joint, and they both wonder about the giant evil gods, and they remark about how they look forward to seeing them, even though they're sharing a joint. They're not thinking clearly.
They're not going to see anything.
And soon enough, the whole place rumbles. I just so you guys know, they're sort of, when they're sitting in that position, they're actually angled next to
their images.
Their images.
Yeah.
The Virgin and the Fool.
Yeah,
and then we see a hand protruding out of the ground and out of the cabin, and it swings down on the audience, probably destroying the whole world.
Well, the hand was bigger than the cottage. The cabin. So imagine how big the whole thing was. So destroyed the complex, straight up through the guts, killed them on the way through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
fade
to black, and then the credits roll.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's an interesting movie, and I like the fact that in it that there's a lot of tributes, or what do you call it? Never mind. It's interesting how many
the tributes, parodies.
Parodies, yes.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff brought in. It's a little bit like
a lot of Easter eggs.
What's another movie like that? With lots of little things thrown in it. What was it? Can't remember at the moment. They had all these little things dragged out of other movies there in the background.
I think it was the I think it was that Hell Festival type movie where the people try to get killed by creatures from horror movies and stuff, or TV shows.
Yeah, vaguely.
Fictional stuff.
Yeah,
also.
Yeah, it's really good. But it's when you have all these little placements. It's sort of like I like things which. Okay, I like parodies if they're done well.
Yeah.
Take Dale and Tucker versus Evil. That was a parody of all the hillbilly slasher sort of genres, flipped around the other way and made the kids the evil people and the poor hillbillies the victims. Yeah. So I like when they turn around and make it funny.
Yeah. I mean, this does make me think of the 80s and 90s, some 80s and 90s horror movies where people question the teens acting like teens, and then all suddenly making weird decisions, even though those decisions are created by the script writer. But in this case, I gotta admit, when I think about this movie, the faculties make me think of the directors trying to please either the media or the audience. And in this case, we're the old gods, indicating we're the audience trying to be pleased by their efforts.
Possibly.
And when we find out that Marty is not dead, even though I think it's great he's not dead, because I like a comedy relief in a movie.
Yeah.
So, but I guess the old gods don't see it that way.
No, we wanted 4 bodies.
Yes.
Anyway, now, okay. This was a joint job between USA and Canada.
That's good.
The filming took place in Vancouver from March to May 2009 on a budget of 30 mil, which I said before. The writing, well, we spoke at that before anyway, and the Buffy the Vampire Slayer and stuff, and yada, yada,
I gotta admit, it was an interesting idea.
Yeah.
I mean, taking apart those old horror, parodies type movies and turning it into something to sort of make fun of the whole and why they act like they don't, why they have to make stupid decisions, right, Mike?
Yeah. But anyway.
It's interesting that people question this stuff, and they make they often make media sites cross-questioning a person's behavior in a horror movie. And this sort of gives it an explanation of why people acted weird.
The problem when you have a movie, it's fictional.
Yes, true.
You put people into a situation an improbable situation, where they're going to react in one way or the other, blah, 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 blah. And generally, if it's a comedy, they're going to go one step further and do something totally irrational to make it funny or interesting. How's that?
Yeah.
We see a lot of movies, and you can see a good comedy, which is like a melodrama. But you can see a bad comedy, which is totally incoherent. So you got a bit of a borderline there sometimes, But anyway, just getting back onto the production, I won't go too much. They did a lot of good stuff there. A lot of the stuff was done on stage, but the actual control rooms and stuff are actually real buildings they borrowed. But a lot of the stuff they had, I can't remember how many. They had about 600 odd people, I think, involved with all the creation of all the monsters and stuff. And that was people dressed up in different roles and different parts and whatever. And it was 60 to 100 odd people working on actually making the costumes and prosthetics and stuff.
I think it said.
It was really,
I think
really big.
The director said in charge of it said this had the biggest makeup budget.
Huge.
And prosthetic budget ever.
Yeah, but I think it was up to about 600 people involved being in makeup. I don't know how or why, but when you had that wall with all those creatures and stuff, there would have been hundreds in there possibly, so that would have come into it, and those other scenes and stuff. And
those special cubes that were designed there in that set scene, in those elevator in rooms, they're actually they had several sizes. Like they had a smaller one for more people. And when they also had a life-size one, which was for the trolls or the giants, because there's a giant in. There's a giant. And of course, it's good for the zombie ones, which
and family ones.
Sort of, they did it in different sizes. Like even one for. Very small one for if you're making a giant centipede or a killer praying mantis.
Well, we didn't have a big snake there at all.
Yeah, there was.
Yeah.
So they had a lot of boxes, and some of them may have been CGI'd too. For those particular.
I don't know how much CGI was actually done. There would have been some, obviously.
There would have been some, like the bit where one of the bodies was thrown over a balcony into a giant snake's mouth. That's CGI.
Very, very nice.
I mean, I thought it was pretty cool. I think, and I read somewhere this building that they were filming in, the faculty, was actually a real building somewhere in America. Meaning it wasn't a stage or set or anything like that. They were actually using a real.
They did use sets for the some of it, but they did where the offices were, the computers and stuff. That was like real place.
It is. Yeah. It is very. It's not a confusing movie. I mean,
it's quite good actually.
And I do want. I'm looking forward to hearing the reception for this. You said the reception was good.
I've got lots of. I'm going to do the main ones because there's so many of them here. Okay, Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 92% approval rating.
That's good.
Based on about 288 reviews. So that's wasn't out of 2 reviews, it was 288 reviews. Metacritic gave it 72. Cinema score, I gave it a C out of an A plus to a F scale, which is not too bad. Now, here's one which I like.
Mm-hmm.
Roger Ebert, he's passed away a little time ago, but
wasn't Roger Ebert the famous film critic? Or
yeah, Chicago Sun. We're doing the critics.
Oh, sorry. Go on. You were saying? I thought it was someone else. Sorry. Go on.
Yeah, he's a film critic. Yeah.
Go on.
He passed away a couple of years ago, but when he was alive, obviously, he did this, and he even gave it 3 out of 4 stars. Mm-hmm. And he says the Cabin in the Woods has been constructed almost as a puzzle for horror fans to solve. Which conventions are which conventions are being toyed with, which authors and films are being referred to. Is the film itself an act of criticism? So he said, that's all positive stuff. Saying it's food for your brain to get into while you watch the movie. Yeah. So he even liked it, he really, from what I've seen over the years, he doesn't like these sort of movies normally. He likes normal type movies. He can get his teeth into, but when you get in something like a station movie or something or other, he doesn't normally like them. But he liked this.
Yeah, well,
which is outside the norm.
It isn't outside. Yeah. Instead of it's kind of, well, I'm not going to say taking the piss out of horror. It's more of as I said, it's a comedy horror. I think it was.
But,
Isn't that right, Mike?
Yeah, it was a comedy horror, but he enjoyed it. I mean, he doesn't like these sort of movies, and he even enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. So, but there's a lot more. You got. Rolling Stones gave it 3.5 out of 4. Cinema Blend, they got 4.5 out of 5. Washington Post gave it 3 out of 4. It just goes on, and everyone liked it. You know why?
Why?
Because it was done so well and it was fresh.
Well, it is a fresh idea.
The point is, you can take some old concepts and turn them over and make something new out of it, and that's what they've done.
Well, that's
like, I mentioned Dale and Tucker versus Evil. They did that and made something fresh out of a parody instead of making it stale. They made it really funny and it's great. So they did the same thing. If it's not quite as humorous, but yet they've taken some old stuff and some old movies and some old things, thrown them together, turned it on its head, and made a damn fine movie out of it.
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was pretty cool, especially when it turns out the teens who come up with the stupid ideas that they get so they never question it or cross question it at the beginning because they never thought that anything was wrong.
Here's something. When they made this movie, they had a problem getting it distributed.
Really? How is that, Mike?
Well, I haven't got notes for you, but I was reading up that the original people are going to distribute it through decided, no, we don't like it. So Lionsgate took it over and ran it through the cinemas and whatever, and they've obviously made some good money out of it.
Yeah, probably got it.
Yeah, right, there you go. Then you can't pick it, can you, folks?
What was the distributor again?
Lionsgate took it over. I don't know who the original one was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but the other one said, I don't know.
Well, it's their loss.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I don't think these guys in the distributing companies got any idea on product, honestly.
Yeah, well.
You get a good movie, so I don't like it. And
give it a chance
and
once
some
in a while.
actors walk away from a good movie. I'm not real sure. I don't think it's a great movie. And then turn around and say, I wish I'd said yes to it. It was a great movie. Too late.
Yeah. So, they probably just watched half of it, weren't convinced, and decided to...
Or read half a script and say it's crap.
Even though even though it's not important who stars in it. I mean, I thought that Chris... Hemsworth, I think it's interesting that he came on board. I mean, Hemsworth did a good job. I mean, I think it's cool.
He's always good fun.
Yeah, he's always a good actor to have on the film set. And I guess he's an okay guy. Of course, recently, I'm not going to... don't get angry at me, Mike, but recently he did something at his own child's birthday party that kind of feels a bit upsetting when I think about it.
I wish he wouldn't do this.
Well, recently, Mike, he actually exploded his kid's birthday cake.
A what?
You did it for a Twitter.
What did he do?
He exploded it.
Oh, okay.
He actually, really, instead of wishing them a happy birthday, he decided to blow the cake up for Twitter followers or for TikTok.
Aha.
Yeah, I do. I just think that's in poor taste. I hate it when someone decides to do something like that and never think about the other person or the other member of their family.
Happy now? You said it now?
I'm just saying, Mike, that it's not really nice to do it for a 9-year-old's birthday. Oh, my dad just blew up my cake. Oh, I'm going to be feeling so upset about this. This is not exactly a triumph, in my opinion.
The cake...
In fact, even the people who have seen it probably are annoyed with him for doing this to his own children.
But did everybody get a piece of cake on them?
No. But I imagine his kids probably were were
He
upset.
might have got another cake. Does it matter?
I know it doesn't matter, but it was if he was doing it for followers and for his fans, it's not going to win him any favours.
Well, there you go. At least you punch the kid. There you go. Now, here we go. Availability. Scoring it. I'm going to give it 10. There you go.
I'm going to give it 10 out of 10 myself, because I do like this movie, and I think it works on so many levels, and it doesn't not completely make fun of the genre of horror.
It's a parody. It takes a light-hearted look at it.
Yeah.
Now, actually, I do mention this occasionally. Some people ask Sarah through Facebook and different places why we do movies which aren't new all the time. We do things which might be a couple of years old. Well, quite easy. We believe they're classic movies, and not everyone has seen every movie.
Yeah.
So we look at it and say, okay, did everybody in the world go to the theatre and see Cabin in the Woods, or did they stream it? Yeah. Possibly not. Yeah. Some people miss movies.
Yeah, I mean, if, for instance, if they watched this, they may have watched another horror movie at the same time and didn't bother checking this one out because they thought they were not either going to look forward to it, or they think this is just another Cabin in the Wood movie. Therefore, there's no point in going to it.
I must admit, because when I first saw this being advertised in the DVD shops or whatever back in 2012, I walked straight past it. I didn't pick it up, look at it.
Yeah, I thought it would be just another cabin, in the woods.
Oh, okay, another one of those crappy
things. Dealing with a set of monsters or a supernatural occurrence.
I didn't even pick it up to read the cover. I just thought, nah.
It's just when you hear about the Cabin Fever movie that came out.
Cabin Fever, same thing.
Same thing, and you think, even though I've seen the trailers where it says it's gives a good explanation for this sort of thing. Yeah. It's not exactly a slasher killer in this one. It's more of just like the title says, Cabin Fever.
Yeah, so that's one reason why we do the movies which are probably maybe 5, 10, 15, 20 years old, because not everyone has seen every movie. Yeah. And that's why we do these, because we think, hey, these are good value. If you haven't seen it, go and look at it. If you saw it years ago, it's good to go and have another look at it in a fresh light. Mm-hmm. Anyway, availability. Now, careful. When you go hunting for it, there is also a book with the same name. It's got a cabin on it.
Okay, good point.
So there's a book with the same name called The Cabin in the Woods.
Okay.
Now, eBay has plenty for sale. Amazon, it's rentable and for sale. So knock yourself out. Your other sites may have it. So I would recommend this to anybody who likes... It's not a lot of blood and guts in it. It's a lot of... maybe that part, the elevators.
There is a bit of blood.
There's a bit of the elevators, all the monsters are chewing up the people. But apart from that, it's pretty tame insofar as the blood and guts. But the rest of it, it's a good story. It's fun. Enough horror and action to make it interesting, and it's funny-ish without being over the top, like a Bob Hope.
Yeah, as I said before,
it's really good.
As I said before, I think the old gods represent us, the audience, who either get pleased by a horror movie or not pleased with it. Yeah. And if, as I said and the faculty guys, they're like the directors, and they like to give the audience what they want. Yeah.
The movie is made to please the fans.
Yeah, see, they are pleasing the old gods, which means that they're trying to follow what the gods want in this.
Keep us quiet. We want another slasher movie.
Exactly. So that's the type of thing that's probably what the directors and writers are faced with. They're always approached by fans or colleagues telling them, go on, give us another one.
Yeah. And that's why I like it when I see well, more or less an independent.
And I think it was
do
great
something
that
like this.
Josh from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, it seems really up his mark. He's up. It's pretty much I imagine what he would do. Create a hidden world where they have a faculty where all they think about is it as a business proposition where they must do this in order to achieve a
that
profit.
sounds like a production company, doesn't it, guys?
And I should mention the other countries that were trying to do what they were doing.
Japan, Russia.
They all failed.
They all failed. We were the last hope. Well, America was the last hope.
Yeah. Even though they lost. We lost.
And they lost. Yeah. Now what I was going to say is, you dropped my train of thought down.
I did think it was interesting that Marty turns out to, knew more than what he was.
Yeah,
I mean, all the time that they tried to ignore him or try to play the parts of...
The fool wasn't the fool.
The fool was not meant to be the person who has to know stuff. Like, he has to be...
He was a common sense guy.
He's a dead weight, if that's the word.
Yeah, probably dead weight, the clown, the idiot, the waster or whatever. Yeah.
But he turns out to be a lot more... We give credit towards
exactly right. And actually, he was a good friend of the leading lady, Dana.
Yeah.
They weren't their friends?
I think all of them were friends, except...
they were close friends.
Yeah, close friends.
Yeah, and they ended up together at the end when they died.
Yeah, well, they had no choice, because...
they shared a joint.
Yeah.
California weed, whatever.
It is a shame that even though I heard this several times in the past, sometimes in horror movies, usually you get a final couple. Unfortunately, I guess the old gods probably don't really acknowledge that fact, or don't really want to acknowledge.
Yeah, they weren't going to say, "Oh, isn't that lovely? We'll give them a go."
Yeah.
No, they weren't going to do that. No.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're going overtime now.
Yeah, sure, guys. So thanks for listening to our last podcast, and as usual, I'm sorry if I blow up and mistake knowledge
and
sometimes. I get a little antsy about when it comes to topics. So,
she does. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I should mention, guys, we did some interesting stuff on our film project. I won't mention spoilers as per usual, because if I mention spoilers, you guys may not watch our finished product.
Or your thing, or your web series. Yeah,
although it does have some interesting gory bits I can mention, but I won't mention what scenes we've done that will give you the gory details.
Okay.
Anyway,
we're really overtime now.
Yes. So thanks for listening to our latest podcast, everyone. We'll see you guys next time. This is Sarah Stephenson.
And Marvel.
Saying, see you guys around on Boys and Ghouls Film Review. Bye for now.
Bye.